Hello everybody and a warm welcome back to Cockpit Drivers Championship. My name is Abby and I'll be taking you all through to this round 3 here at the Jeddah Corniche circuit in Jeddah. So that's going to be fun to get on here in Saudi Arabia. For the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, you know, it is going to be as again short qualifying and 25 laps of racing, I believe, or it'll be somewhat 25, 26 laps of 50% racing as we are getting on and just out on track now as we're here for this one as we're in qualifying. Many drivers more than we've had the 10 drivers today, so we're only improving and getting more and more drivers each week, so that is somewhat great news out there. So just before we get started out on track, there is drivers we're going to try and come out on track as let's just see that how much of an audio you guys are going to be hearing in terms on the stream and stuff. So let's have a look at this and then slightly increase it, but also increase my mic audio so it's not overlapping me. But let's not waste any time then. Just get it here. Rather we just logos, setting up logos might not be the time right now, but alright then, so let's, before we get jumping out on track any action, let's have a look at the championship in the standings here, and look at the top two at the moment. It says Simpish and Reaper, both the consistent drivers so far this season. 37 points for Simpish and 30 for Gap Reaper, so not much separating. Only 7 points, which might seem big on paper, but trust me, they're not. And this will be a somewhat interesting fight between those two, so look out for that. Commander X in P3 with 28 points, 2 points separating Reaper and him, so that'll be some good battle as well in the championship between the two, along with Scooter, who's gotten 25 points as well, 3 points to Commander X. So everybody's pretty much close. Then Felix and Speeder both on 18 points each. So definitely that 5th place is going to be up for grabs from Faruqi, who's got 7 points for himself. Then moving forward in the team championship, funny enough, I didn't knew there was a team championship coming into this season, but there actually is a team's championship. So GSW with 48 points ahead of DRD on 37s, with LRT on 28. Then comes OGM with 25 points to them, followed by KCT, who've got 18, and BRT have got 8 points to their name. So now let's not waste any time and get out on track here in at Saudi. And Jeddah, the Jeddah Corniche circuit. Meanwhile, Faisal gets out of the way of a car starting, and that must have been Commander X, I believe. Or no, in fact, Commander X is just arriving at the scene where Faisal is, so maybe it would have been Scooter. Let's have a look at it. Oh, he was not as well, so he was just getting out of the way of a car, but that car itself was not on a flying lap, and it was Felix, as the multiple cars have now started their flying laps. Faisal was the very first one, but 41-0 in the first sector. That means he's slowed down and he is not on a fast lap at all. What about anybody else who'd be on a flying lap? Faruqi is just starting their lap. You know, Commander X is going to be the driver to have a look at for us. He slowed down quite a bit, but he's going to be back on power, up into 5th and into 6th gear, now into 7th. And getting into that DRS zone. So many DRS zones around here, around Jeddah. The end of that middle sector, that's going to be 103.999. That is an interesting middle sector to see. Faisal on the other end is pretty slow. Meanwhile, Drike is going to be in a bit of a trouble here as he had a car in front of him, and that car completely failed to get out of the way. I wonder who that was. That would have been Simpish. He didn't get out of his way, so not sure how both the drivers are going to be reacting to that. Meanwhile, Commander X, our very first driver, who's going to be making his way over to this finish line and set up a benchmark time for everyone to beat, and that'll be 133.940. Couple of other drivers going over the line, and Scooter will be another one. He might beat it. Yes, he will beat Commander's time, and 128.918. That is a pretty decent time so far here, but let's see if anybody else will be able to beat or show up any challenge to this one. What about Faruqi? As Faruqi will be on their way to go over the line and set up a time on board. They might be faster than Commander X, but they won't be faster than Scooter, and that indeed will be the case. 131.0 from them. as we hope the stream is running okay and smooth so far. So that is somewhat brilliant news as well, as definitely gets a bit tricky having a look at that, having only a single monitor. Meanwhile, I believe Faisal's coming to the pits. Yes, Faisal has came into the pits, so they've got fight to themselves. What about Sapie? We've got 10 drivers tonight, so that is the most we've had so far in the first 3 rounds, and that is some brilliant news here. And what about this one from Seppi here, as he's going to be making their way around the final corner now. A lot left on that right-hand side, so definitely they've not utilized the best of it so far, but over the finish line, there will be a time from them on the board, and that will be 132.5. A couple of more drivers who are going to be making their way around the finish line now. Commander Rex just with him. I believe it's going to be Felix. And indeed, that is going to be Felix, but he's got no front wing at all. He's got a whole front wing missing. He's going to come into the pits. That is interesting. Commander should have been coming into the pits as well. I mean, Faruqi is on their way. They're currently in P2. I mean, out of the 10 drivers, only about 6, not 6, but 4 of them have set up a time on board just yet. All 10 of them haven't came out as well. A couple of them came out, went in, and some of them still staying out. What about DK, who was held off for their first flying lap over the line, but they're going to be coming up again over the line. And that won't be much faster at all, but instead fast enough for P4. What about Simpish, our championship leader? They're going to come into the pits. Meanwhile, their rival Reaper hasn't got a time on board as well. So both of them so far just about keeping it decent enough at the moment in terms of, I mean, there isn't much going on right now, so I don't think what's really going to be the case for them at the moment, but both of them having got a time on board, and by the looks of it, no driver yet is out on track so far. So let's see what is going to be happening, as Felix, who was stopped by, as I said, who was stopped by one of the drivers, and that was indeed Simpish, who blocked him on his flying lap. Meanwhile, a couple of drivers more. Meanwhile, Seppi is back out on track. He still is out on track and staying out there. Meanwhile, there's going to be a driver, but they're going to be on an out lap, not on a flying lap, and that is Speeder. And Faisal's on an out lap as well, but he's a little bit further back, both of them. Faisal was the first one to come out on track, but couldn't really put a lap in. Only 5 of the 10 drivers so far have put a lap in out on the track. Meanwhile, Reaper will have the lap started in towards turn 1 into second gear, trying to get back on power, still staying in second. Brave choice though, and they've invalidated already, and that choice wouldn't have been brave enough, as they've invalidated their lap, and that means that will be it on for this one, at least from them. What about Faisal, who couldn't get a lap in earlier on and set up a pretty slow lap, and I believe it didn't go over the line, so that is going to be his lap invalidated. Meanwhile, Karahead gets out of their way, but this one entry into turn 3 looked pretty slow to me, but let's see how fast of this time will be heading in towards the end of that middle first sector, and that is not going to be very fast, as they've ran wide, super wide over the end of that first sector, 35.2, so definitely they'll need to do a little bit of a better job than that. Meanwhile, Seppi, he'll be another driver out on the track. He'll be over the line, as he's improving by over a second on his time, and he does get nearly 9/10 of it. Not enough though, but still they'll stay in P3, and they'll definitely move away from Drake, who will need enough time to beat the time of Seppi right now. There's another car over the line, and that I'm not sure who that is, and that is Scooter indeed. He's currently on pole, and he's got pole position to himself. Meanwhile, a driver of the line, another white car, and that is Simpish indeed. The 2 teammates by the looks of it, Faisal and Simpish, out on track. Meanwhile, Faisal will be coming around the final corner now. He's using all his ERS. He's going to have that rearing open as well to give him as much speed over the line as he can get, but that'll be only enough for P5. which is second slowest time at the moment, 133.739. What about Felix? But he's on an out lap at the moment. He'll just be starting his flying lap now. He wasn't happy about Simpish not getting out of his way earlier on, so remember when he was coming into the pits earlier on, he had damage to his front wing, so definitely that we know how did that eventually happen. And at the moment we're looking for drivers who will be on their flying laps, and anybody will be the case as so look at this, as we're going to be on now as anybody who we could see out on a flying lap. Seppi is, but obviously Seppi is on his out lap and he'll be getting out of the way. What about Felix? It's not Felix, but it is Scooter, who is not improving as well, and he has eventually decided to come into the pits. But one man who will surely go over the line. Will he be the fastest driver over the line? That is going to be a question to be answered by him, and that'll be answer will be no. But still, he is very fast though, 130.672. Considering some circumstances, it's not a bad lap time at all. Just a couple of more laps in the session and he'll be good enough to beat that 128 that's 128.9, so apologies about that. I would have thought the time is decent enough to beat Scooter, but not at the moment, because Scooter's got 128.9, not 129.9, so that is gonna be extra work for our driver on the screen to be done. Meanwhile, Felix, who was starting his lap earlier on, will be finishing his lap this time, and he goes over the line to go up on the pole position, and he beats up his own teammate. 128.223. Alright then, apologies about that. We're just not off the screen, but just of our booth for a second. But we're back on right now, and more drivers are now going over the line. The two teammates are at the top by the looks of it, and both of them are doing a decent job so far. And the only two drivers who are in the 128s at the moment, as Felix will be coming into the pits now. He's got his lap in. 5.5 minutes now remain, a little bit more than 5.5 minutes, less than 6 minutes, that is to be exact. Speeder will be out on the track right now. They'll be on their way to do a out lap at the moment, obviously. Oh, they're not on the way to do a out lap, they're on their way to do a flying lap, but they're on a out lap to be exact, as got another driver in, and we have Commander X, who we would have thought is going to be on a flying lap, but he is on an out lap at the moment. What about our driver who's coming over the line around the final corner now? That'll be Faruqi, but by the looks of it, they'll be coming into the pits, and that'll pretty much be it. That won't be it for them in qualifying. Obviously, they've done 2 laps on these tyres. Third one would have been this one. So they're going to come into the pits, get on a set of new tyres, and go back out on track. An interesting choice from 3K there, because they're on an out lap and they're on 2-lap old tyres, which is an interesting choice in my opinion, considering the fact that that'll be interesting. And Reaper has managed up to P3, 129.602. That is a very good time as well, as they just go over Simpish, and who would have been looking to beat Reaper there, but Reaper has done better so far as they go up into P3, 129.602 from Reaper there, and that will be somewhat of a pressure up on the shoulders of Simpish. He'll need to beat that, I'm sure. He'll be up and over in the inside that car to try and beat that. As we just talk about him trying to beat that, he is out on track and definitely as I was talking about Drake, and I believe he's coming to the pits now, as there was a driver on an outlap and on a... Okay, so now Simpish just came out on a one-lap older tyre, which is interesting. I mean, it would have just been like, okay, he doesn't want to waste another set of tyres, and then... Unless he just, that's what he has, considering the time of the session, and, you know, unless it's a full qualifying session, you know, you'd say, okay, he's saving up tyres to go into the next session, but by the looks of it, you know, it's considering it's just less than 5 minutes now remaining in the session, it'll be, you know, you'd want any tire you've left now, unless he wants to do a lap, come in, change tires, and go out again, but then that'll be a bit risky move, because I don't think he'll have enough time for him to, you know, come out, do a lap. Unless he wants to treat this as an out lap, as a prep lap, you know, he wants to do all he can on this lap, but then just go back into the pits and get out on a set of brand new tyres. Meanwhile, there's going to be a driver in Reaper who had Simpish right behind him on an out lap. Maybe he didn't knew that, and he spins out on his own. That is somewhat like a pressure without any pressure on Simpish, as he, on a Reaper, who's lost his car on his own. Meanwhile, Fazel is going to be on an outlap, or is he? Yes, no, in fact, he's into the pits right about now. And the next car who'll be on a flying lap, it'll be Scooter. It's not Scooter, it's not. Rather, it is Reaper indeed. I thought he was going to be away, but he's not away from the finish line just yet. And that's going to be it. That's going to be his best bet to come into the pits, change the front wing if needed, and get back out on track for a set of brand new tyres and do a lap in. Meanwhile, Speedo is going to come into the pits as well. So everybody who gets to go over the line will get to start their flying lap, but I'm sure they'll be on the way to do as much better as they can. Scooter needs enough time. They need nearly 7/10 to get past their teammate minimum so far here, because that is 7 or 8/10 has to be his improvement margin. Over a second should be his focus, because sure, you could say, okay, I've got enough, or, you know, I'm improving by 7/10 or 8/10. I can gain a little, but always, if you do not do good around those final corners, you lose a lot of the time. You lose those couple of tens, so definitely you need to gain that, to have an edge over others. What about Simpish? He's currently on a 130.6 registered lap, and that'll be an invalidated lap from him. That is interesting, and at least some smiles on Reaper's face for the moment. But for how long will that be the case, though? Because Simpish has decided to continue on and not come into the pits this time, at least. And now, those who we would want to have our eyes on. Meanwhile, Simpish puts it in the wall, and he'll get a front wing damage. Meanwhile, Speedo's out. Dreek is into the pit, and Scooter doesn't get a good lap in, and that possibly would mean that he's treated this one as a prep lap, and only now he'll be looking to push in. And yes, that is true. He might have pulled out on his lap earlier on previously, and to try and come out again. Only 10 seconds now remaining. Everybody who gets to go over the line will be starting their lap. Otherwise, nobody will. And Fazel here coming out on track. He will not be getting his lap in because he's got not much time left. What about Ferruki? He will not be improving over the line. Reaper has taken the checkered flag as well, so all eyes will be on Simpish, but his qualifying will be over as well. And the rivalry we were going to talk about, at least for the moment here in the qualifying session, it has to be the man on your screen, Reaper, who takes it. But what about those who currently are out on track and are looking to improve so far? Felix is going to be the next car, but he's invalidated. He's got an invalidated lap. That pretty much is gonna be it. What about Scooter? He's got all the opportunity to beat his teammates, and right now, not many drivers are out on a flying lap. Sippy has invalidated their lap as well, so the only driver who is out on track and gonna be taking the checkered flag and completing his lap. It'll be Scooter over the finish line. It does not improve, and that'll be the end of qualifying, ladies and gentlemen. Or is it, though? Indeed it will be, because Epi is out on track indeed, but he is on an invalidated lap, so he will not be improving his flying lap at all, no matter what. So that is going to be the case, ladies and gentlemen, here. So by the looks of it, everybody has taken the checkered flag, and the two of them are going to be coming into the pits. So that is some interesting qualifying session and qualifying laps from Felix, Scooter, Reaper, and Simpish. The top four could be an asset in this race. It could either be the top four racing each other, or it could be the top three, or even the top four separated by each other, with Felix and Scooter fighting on their own, and Simpish and Reaper fighting on their own, followed by Faruqi, Sepe, Speedo, Commander X, Drike, Faisal, who couldn't get a lap in at the earlier at the ending moment, but rather depends on what they can do and how they'll be on the way to do. So let's see what we're going to be looking at coming soon. That's going to be the neck of this. These are the qualifying results, ladies and gentlemen. Felix takes it by almost over 7 tenths, 6.95. Felix on pole with Scooter in P2, followed by Reaper in P3. Simpish in P4. Faruqi comes in P5. Seppi in P6 with Speeder, Commander X, Drike, and Faisal completing out the top 10. These are your top 10 drivers, ladies and gentlemen, and now we'll be hoping that nobody presses the ready button, so we get a bit of a few minutes of a break if we are to have any, at the end of it. And Dree says he's got some issues with his wheel by the looks of it, and yes, indeed, the drivers are now being told do not ready up immediately after qualifying. So we're hoping that they will listen at least, because drivers a lot of the time, I mean, sometimes some of them have a habit of doing it, some of them unable to do it. And we are out on track, ladies and gentlemen, out here. So by the looks of it, it is interesting to see between these drivers. Felix out on pole. It's a night race here in Jeddah, of course, and we did ready up early, so I doubt that's if nobody readied up here, as everybody has decided to start on a set of the medium compound tyre, which is going to be an interesting choice in these cooler conditions. I think one stop is possible here in such conditions here, and yep, somebody did ready up, as I was like, definitely somebody has readied up, and you are going to be giving up a penalty. I mean, it depends if they're going to be given up a penalty, but I mean, if it's not harsh in terms of nobody's going to stop, and it's such a simple thing that you are not supposed to ready up. As you know, we build up, drivers gain experience, maybe that's going to be the case. So now look at this, it is going to be Felix out on track on pole with Scooter in P2, followed by Reaper in P3, Simpish comes in P4, Faruqi in P5, then in P6 comes Seppi, followed by Speeder in P7. Commander X in P8. Then it is going to be Dree in P9, followed by Faisal in P10. Faisal's actually overtaken a couple of drivers. So Reaper, who's down in at the very end, and I think that is very strategic from Reaper there, that the earlier you reach the end of this flower, the end of the formation. Earlier you get to the end of the lap of the formation, you are going to have colder tires on the grid, and by the looks of it, he might want, you know, the leaders to have a lap in earlier, unless he's had an incident here on the flying lap, on this out lap, on this formation lap, I shall say. It is not much, you know, they can do, as now Scooter's got disqualified, and that means they'll have colder tires by the looks of it, as it is. So interesting to see between these two. So look at this. It is going to be now Felix on pole, Scooter in P2, followed by Reaper in P3, who's going to be coming out on top. Is it going to be the two teammates or Reaper in P3? It's going to be all lights out, and we go racing here at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. It's Jeddah Corniche second. It's going to be a decent start for Reaper, but it's going to be a decent start for Simpish as well. Reaper goes wide. Simpish has been pushed wide as Ferruki makes a huge dive bomb and makes contact. Meanwhile, Seppi's going to be put up in the wall straight away. It was Fezzle and Seppi fighting side by side, and Seppi's been put up into the wall, and we've got a safety car our hands. We couldn't even go the first few corners, and we've got a safety car already. That's a crazy start there, as we had Felix and Scooter on pole. Reaper got a decent start, but Simpish got over the line very nicely as well on that start, but then Reaper came around the outside. They were more over for a moment side by side, and then it was all happening. Commander in P2, 3 in P6, Ferruki in P7, Speeder in P8, and then I just saw that Fezzle and Seppi made a bit of contact, or Seppi made a contact with one of the other drivers, and he's been put up into the wall straight away, so that is not a good straight impression who it was, whoever it was bumping into Seppi there. I think Seppi maybe could have been his job, and also let's remember that Ferruki put a dive bomb in on the inside of Simpish there. That had him make contact with him as well, so that could have been a bit of a risk as well in terms of, you know, I think lucky enough to not end both of their races, but on a start to make such a dive bomb, it definitely takes, you know, it's just that, you know, that the driver who's done this maybe lacks experience, because such dive bombs just, you know, don't make sense in terms of start. Obviously, it's a start. You're trying to gain positions, but it's only right if you try and gain it, or if you can, you know, just show a bit of patience. You know, it's 26 laps, 25 laps, let's say, and 25 indeed. So that one stop now, pretty much, the drivers are going to be staying out. Nobody's going to pit in. Obviously, it's a one-stop strategy. You know, as I said, cooler conditions, so it'll be easier to do those laps by those drivers on it, and let's see what is going to be the case so far. So it is going to be it, as we've got now 9 drivers. We had 10 start on our, you know, in our session here, but only eventually 9 remain, and Faisal is coming in, so definitely Faisal made contact here. I'm not sure whether he made it with Seppi or somebody else, because I'm sure Faisal was side by side with Seppi there, so either Seppi had a crappy start, or probably he was around there at the start as well, so unfortunately, it was unfortunate for him. They were going side by side, and obviously it's such a narrow track, it either has to be one or the other driver, and eventually it had to be Seppi tonight. Who do you think is going to be taking the victory here then? I mean, we're only 2 laps in out of 25 as Faisal is catching up to these cars. And I think by the looks of it, we should probably have the lap 4 restart, the safety car coming in next lap. It could come in this lap, but I doubt it will. It'll at least stay out for 2 laps. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see, and look at that. Simpish is more than ready to get past, and the safety car is interesting. I wonder if it's coming in. And I've lost control, so not sure what is going on here. This was a bug back on F1 24. It used to happen as well. So unless that bug has returned, or They say that basically the safety car has turned into broadcast instead of that, and now lap 2 out of 25 it says, and we've now lost control. For all of you watching, we do not have control in our hands at the moment, so we cannot move through or navigate through drivers out on the track, and the safety car is still staying out indeed. So Felix in P1, Scooter in P2. We've got on the start, and Reaper in P3. All 3 drivers running that black livery, and that is interesting. All black livery from these drivers. The top 3 on their own. Simpish is on his way to do what he can, and we've got control back, and the safety car is going to be at the end of this lap. That is interesting to see, as we've got a couple of details missing from this one, as we've been given control later. We cannot move over to the broadcast view here at the moment, and we can do that now. When will Felix be going for it? And he might have just done that now, as he's going to get that start. Commander has already jumped Dire, as Dire and Simpish is going to come into the pits along with Faisal. The 2 teammates are into the pits straight away. Middle Commander X is going to try and get past Reaper there, but he won't be able to get past Reaper there. Reaper stays, and Simpish is definitely not having it at all since the start of qualifying here. Meanwhile, Dre and Commander X are going to be going side by side. Rather, that's going to be Reaper actually going will to will with Rex, and Reaper gets himself ahead, or X there, the 2 doing a pretty good job by the looks of it. And there's a car in front, and that's going to be Scooter, who's made a mistake, and he'll be in big trouble, and that trouble will turn into tragedy as he loses his position, and he'll be up into P3. That mistake he would have made on his own pretty much, because I'm not sure whether he tried to fight his teammate there, because that's pretty much the only thing I'm seeing that he's made a mistake, because otherwise, you know, unless he's made it obviously on his own, which I'm thinking has happened at this point, because he was on his own. He didn't have, Reaper much far behind him. So now it's just going to be interesting. Earlier, maybe Reaper would have been able to catch him up, early enough. But now these guys are going to be close enough to each other. These guys are going to be very closer, and so what would have happened with the safety car? I believe it wouldn't be a bug, but it would be a broadcast safety car experience, as Street's gonna try and send it on the inside line. Absolutely no space there was, but he still wanted to do that. Oh, he's going to move up. He's going to move around and give Faruqi a little bit of a damage as Stray moves around the outside to defend his position from Faruqi. And oh, what has happened there? Somebody has went off, and that has to be Faruqi. And we just had a safety car to go in, and we're going to get another one right there. Oh, he's got a puncture as well. He's got a puncture. He has got a puncture, and he's got a whole lap to limp through here around Jeddah, and that is going to be not a good one as well at all. As drive-through penalty for Dre, as Faisal has managed to run off on his own by the looks of it, as that is now going to be Commander X in P4, followed by Scooter in P3, Reaper in P2, still staying ahead of him there. And now I think it'll be interesting to see whether these drivers now come into the pits or not, as 3 drivers have got a penalty. I know Simpish has got a 10-second time penalty. Oh no, yep, he's got a 10-second time penalty. The other 2 have got the drive-through one, and now Faisal has got a drive-through as 10 seconds as well. Not sure for what that was, unless he's done it for into the pits, because I thought that was going to be him for him coming into the pits faster, those 10 seconds, but he's nowhere near the pits, so that is interesting. I mean, obviously there's no penalty for exiting the pit, so that's pretty much going to be the case as Faruqi has now retired out of this one, and that is going to be an interesting one by the looks of it, as the safety car still stays out, and now our race leaders into the pits. So as I said, earlier they wouldn't want to be going for a 1 stop, but now possible 2 stop here, because earlier the strategy would have been 10 to 12 laps on a set of mediums and then the remaining on a set of hards. But now it'll be interesting to see whether I think it's not hard though, if they can do over 20 laps on these hard compound tires, minusing the 2 laps under the safety car, so they'll have to do about 70 to 18 laps. But now it's a choice of whether what you want to do, because now Dre, Scooter and Reaper, all 3 have decided to stay out, and by the looks of it, only Felix was the one who came in along with Commander then. Felix has went on to a set of hard compound tyres. You know, some of them have preferred to be you know, getting that track position rather than that. But I think this little fight is looking interesting. Felix now arriving behind these guys, but Dre, Scooter, and Reaper are all three of them will be in a fight, and definitely they'll be in a way and on their way to give us a little bit of a fight behind the safety car. All three of them getting a bit impatient there, so that is going to be an interesting thing to get on what they will be doing as... Oh, that's brilliant. We've got the stream running. For a moment, I thought the stream wasn't running at all, but it indeed is. So that is a at least a good one. It's just really running. I think we've got a decent one so far. Let's not jinx it. As now, then 6 laps in out of 25. I think towards lap 7. So I wonder if the safety car is going to let us have the control, or they're going to come in again. So we started with 10 drivers. 2 of them started off, you know, got out of the race earlier on. Definitely in Saudi Arabia and in a street circuit, you do expect a safety car, at least 2, you know, 1 or 2 safety cars a minimum. And we have got 2 already within 6 laps. So it'll be interesting to see whether, if all 8 of these drivers are able to finish. If all of the, if you ask me, if they all 8 of them are going to finish, I don't think so. They will not finish. I mean, they'll finish. I'm not saying that they can as well. I mean, it's not impossible. They can easily finish all 8 of them, but I don't think they will. As Reaper now comes in, what about anybody others? All the others behind him? And nobody has decided to come in. Reaper comes in. A couple of these guys have got drive-through penalties as well, so even if they do come in, they'd rather come in to pay their penalties than for a pit stop by the looks of it. 4 of them have got a penalty out of the 4s, out of the 8 drivers. So yeah, I was talking about whether they can finish this race or not, because now, you know, we've had 2 safety cars very early. Faruqi made a mistake on his own. Seppi made a contact, and it's all about how much they're willing to give the space, how much patience they're willing to show, because, you know, still we're in lap 7 out of 25. If we get a safety car end on lap, let's say lap 8 on this lap, or lap 8, you know, into lap 8 or into lap 9, we go back green flag racing again. That'll be almost, you know, 15 to 16 to 17 laps of racing remaining, which will be interesting, and definitely the control has been taken away, so we should be, you know, back with the laps out of our way and on to racing to go green flags under the safety car in no time. 13 laps, 13 seconds of penalties, and 10 seconds to Simpish and 13 to Faisal, 2 teammates. Then it is Dre and Commander X with a drive-through penalty each. So yeah, we moved on. Well, the safety car has moved us into lap 7. These guys are moving around, and safety car is still staying out, so that'll mean lap 9 restart will be on our way. So that'll be almost about 16 laps, 16 or so laps to the end of it. And if we do go green flags racing again, we're going to be hoping that there is not a safety car once more. And that'll be great indeed. So just a couple of moments before we are back out at green flag racing, and as soon as we're on, we'll pick it up. And it says lap 8 out of 21.9. We should be moving over into lap 9, and we've got the control back from our driver in P1, and he's got all the... Oh, that is going to be interesting, because he's got all these drivers. I don't think he's on pole, though, because he's definitely not in P1. Somebody else is in P1. It has to be Felix or Dre, one of those drivers, rather. Who is it going to be? It is indeed Scooter. I thought he was not in P1 because a couple of lapped cars were in front of him, but he gets past all of those. And now heading towards turn one, Scooter's going to be on it. Dree will be on the inside line of Felix. They both will be side by side. They're going to make contact, but back out on track. They'll still be staying there. Meanwhile, the two teammates, Simpish and Fazzle, might be fighting each other off, as well as Reaper has pushed, got him down to P8. Maybe he's lost a few positions there at the start. Definitely those hard tyres are not going to be in the best of their conditions in low temperatures. There'll be no grip on those hards at all. And now the two teammates, 8-lap older tyres versus a 3-lap brand new hard compound tyres. And Scooter has been put straight into the wall by his teammate. Not just sure what happened there, but Felix, remember, lost his car at the end of the Chinese GP to lose that victory. And he's now straight from the back, has put his teammate into the wall. That is absolutely crazy and chaotic here. I know it's a Saudi Arabian GP, but despite only 8 drivers out there, a lot could be okay. And now Speeder has decided to get out of the race as well. Not sure what exactly, if Speeder lost it now or lost it earlier, but Scooter, they were for a moment just going side by side, the two teammates, Scooter, or no, they weren't even wheel to wheel. It was Felix right behind his teammate, and the next thing you know is Felix put his teammate into the wall, and that is going to be interesting. And it'll be interesting to know what he has to say. And yep, he's just got a thumbs up, and simply he's been put into the wall. I mean, I'm sure if they're teammates or not, because they're running a black livery and they can run the same colors as well. And obviously that's why I'm saying, you know, in an F1 World Cars, you can't really, you know, unless they have exact same liveries, you can't really recognize it. You know, it looks, you know, looking at Faisal and Simpish, they have white colors. So even if they're not teammates, we're going to think they're teammates. So, I mean, even if they're fighting each other off, that is an interesting one. And despite Scooter being on those older tires, him being put in the wall just doesn't make sense at all. I'm not sure whether Scooter brake checked him or something happened there, because a lot of things do happen. I'm not putting all the fault on Felix, but it's an interesting feat to see such an incident, which these drivers were driving decently so far in this race. I just wasn't expecting it. Now another safety car, third safety car within 9 laps of the Grand Prix. I'm not sure. We had a safety car at the start. We go in, and then we have another safety car. So we probably have had more safety car laps so far rather than, you know, green flag laps. So that is obviously not impressive at all. But, I mean, you know, it is what it is. So let's just hope that we're going to be getting some better action soon when this safety car ends. As I was saying, as I said, I don't think 8 of them will be able to finish. And now only 6 remain within 10 laps of the GP, with 15 laps, over 15 laps still remaining. So with Reaper on brand new tyres, Dree on brand new soft arm compound tyres, Commander on 2 laps older soft tyres as well. So Simpish, Faisal and Felix all drive, they're all on they're on newer tyres as well. They just I'm sure, I assume they would have just done laps under the safety car. And now the fight between Simpish, Faisal and these guys would be that everybody now has penalties out of these 6 drivers, apart from the 2, Felix and Reaper. And as soon as everybody gets out of the way, or those tires from Felix run out of grip and he decides to pit again, would be the time for us to see Reaper and Felix fight. But right now, Reaper is over 19 seconds behind these guys, so it'll be a tough challenge. It'll be a challenge for him to get back up to these guys, but I think this lap will be enough for him to catch up back to these guys by the looks of it. So let's see what exactly will be happening and what these guys are going to be doing in terms of speed, performance, and green flag racing action. I mean, first safety car we had at the end, not even at the end of lap 1, just at the race start, we had the safety car to come out. The second one pretty quick as well. Third one almost similar action and same things by the looks of it. You know, straight away. So it'll be interesting to see what these guys are going to be doing, or what we're going to be getting from them by so far. So let's see. As we're here on lap 11 out of 25, Reaper is still just about to get away. He's not caught up to these guys, and I wonder... Oh, he's pitted again. So that is interesting. He's on 3-lap older art tires, and that means that he decided to pit again. And I wonder if the safety car is going to come in. It's still going to wait for him to catch up to these guys. Because if that's the case, they'll be waiting in terms of... Oh, now that is Faisal. He's put it up on into the wall. At least I wonder if he's got the front wing intact or he's got the main wing missing there. He's going to be dropped down. He's got the front wing missing. That might just only delay the safety car to be staying out right now. And I think safety car is in lap 11. So either a lap 12, either it goes in at the end of this lap. By the looks of it, we don't have any information of it going in right now. But, if as it is, as soon as Reaper is in within a certain amount, and yep, as I was saying, Reaper on 3-lap old hard compound tires this now definitely gives him the opportunity to go to the end of this race on those same compounded tires, and being able to finish this race on those hard tires will give him the opportunity to go to the end of this race. And now Simpish, Commander X, both are going to come into the pits along with Faisal, who's got a damaged wing. But now that's interesting because, it's 3 drivers in the pits, only 3 staying out on track, and Reaper automatically gains against these guys and into the top 3. I mean, there isn't much of a difference, though, between Reaper and Felix's tires. Felix's tires on 6 laps, and at the end of this lap, it's going to be 7. And it's going to be 5 at the end of this lap for Reaper as well. So, Simpish has been quite a one here. Considering the first 2 races, he's done a brilliant job. And you would have thought, okay, he's going to have the opportunity. Reaper and Simpish are separated by many points in the championship as well. So, they'll be fighting each other off. But he's just had a rough start, hasn't he? Has has Simpish so far. And it has still stayed out, and now finally the safety car will be into the pits, and we're hoping that it'll not give us much trouble now. And the racing laps we've been hoping for with these 6 drivers out on track. Let's hope that we're going to be getting enough laps now, as the safety car is now going to be coming into the pits with Felix in the race lead with 3 in P2, followed by Reaper in P3. There's not much separating all these drivers. 3 in P2, Reaper in P3. All of them could be fighting each other off for the race start here. It's going to be green flags, and we go racing for the one more time, and heading towards turn 1. Reaper will be able to get past 3 already on those hard compound tires. Nearly they make contact, but he does a better job. Felix has a good start, and he's on his own at the start there. Meanwhile, Simpish is in P4. He's going to have to defend off. Rather, his teammate is going to be now giving up all that pressure on Commander X. Faisal runs wide himself and gets back out on track. And I think at this point, everybody on their own just need to finish this race to get the points they'll be getting, because only 2 drivers, Simpish and Felix, along. Oh no, they've got 3 of them don't have a penalty. So that means Simpish has paid his penalty, and okay, Faisal has paid his 10 seconds as well. He's only got a 3-second time penalty. Now it is Commander X and Ree who've got a drive-through penalty, and definitely I believe they'll have to come into the pits to pay their drive-through penalty. Otherwise, they'll be getting disqualified out of this one. As Faisal runs wide again, he joins and nearly puts him in the wall, and that is Reaper. And what is going on? So that might just be a virtual safety car here in yellow flags. We might not be getting another safety car, but Reaper has lost it on his own.
And I don't think he was close enough to be fighting Felix, or maybe he was fighting Dree there, and he's got it in the wall. He's lucky enough to still be in this race. Now how the tables turn here, because Reaper on a few lap older hard tyres will still on, would have been looking to go to the end of this race. I was just saying that Simpish hasn't caught up well. He might have, or has he? Because he now has got no front wing as well. So maybe there's more to it than we think. Both the drivers will have to come into the pits. The two rivals are absolutely demolished by the looks of it. Commander X is going to come into the pits as well. He was fighting Faisal for a moment. He's disqualified. Dree has now been disqualified as well, since he did not come in to pay his drive-through penalty. By the looks of it, as for a moment it stopped. I would have thought what's going on, but nothing is. Thankfully, we're all okay and fine so far by the looks of it. But look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Lap 14 out of 25. By the looks of it here. Sorry, lap 14, yes indeed. As we were just hoping for some racing laps. And the moment we go racing, there's somewhat contact between these drivers. And I mean, the amount of safety cars, we had 3 safety cars already. So maybe the safety car driver would have said, okay, I don't want to come out now. You handle this on your own. Would only be the reason we get some green laps, and we get to go to the end of this Grand Prix. So lap 14 now, Felix leads ahead of Faisal in P2. Sure, he's on that soft compound tyre, but Faisal in P2 is an interesting feat on his own. I mean, he's going to have to pit anyways in a couple of laps' time, as those soft tyres are going to run out of grip. So it's going to be Reaper and Commander X at the top, along with Simpish, who's decided to pit onto a set of soft compound tyres, which is an interesting choice, to say the least. Because considering the fact that, you know, it's now only 5 drivers remain. I mean, it's about 10 started, 5 out of it, 5 remain. Dree he's got disqualified, he couldn't pay his penalty. And is Reaper in? Yep, Reaper is into the pits. I wonder if he's going to decide to go on to another set of tyres, and I believe he's going to be indeed. He's got to change the front wing again. And that is some crazy things going on here at the Grand Prix. We've got more action apart from racing rather than here. Simpish is now going to be running away out of this one into P3. By the looks of it, he's just going to be, in fact, he's got not a better one here, because Commander has came in, has paid his penalty, and he's back out on track by the looks of it. Or did he pay? Oh, he didn't pay his penalty. He did not pay his penalty. He still got the drive-through penalty to himself, so otherwise, unless he comes in a couple of laps into the pits, that's going to be not a good one at all, because that's going to be problems for Reaper by the looks of it. Sorry, not Reaper, that's for Rex, because Dree got disqualified, and if that's going to be the case, he might get disqualified as well, because drive-through as it is, it gives you a warning to basically come in to pay by a certain lap, and if you do not do that, or if you fail to do that, you automatically go into disqualification. As now Simpish is only a few tenths and within a 1 second of correct there. These two could be fighting. Meanwhile, Reaper is over 13 seconds behind these drivers. But Simpish and Commander Rex, there's going to be DRS on Rex's car. There's going to be an opportunity for him to get past. I don't think there's much space for him to make an overtake around here. Or will he be making this overtake? No, he will not be doing that right now, possibly continuing on to get to himself at the start. Meanwhile, Reaper has lost out another one. Mistakes after mistake is the reason he hasn't been much competitive. Meanwhile, the mistakes were coming up from Simpish earlier on, but he's going to be coming up, getting into P3. Rex might try and get it past, and now Reaper has retired, and by how about coming into this one, there might be an opportunity for Commander X to get past him. He nearly goes into the back of Simpish, and he does go into the back of Simpish, as he will get past him there. So the rivalry we were talking about, Reaper and Simpish earlier on, Simpish was out of it for most part, but mistakes, safety cars, and everything follows. Reaper is out of this one, and he loses it out by the looks of it here, and right and out and up bout at the moment. Now Reaper has lost out as well. Simpish and Rex made mistakes as Rex went into the back of Simpish on his own, pushed him a little bit wide as well, and I'll be surprised if he doesn't have any diffuser, rare diffuser damage, if this is simulation damage, because in the simulation damage, if you do get such tap, your rare diffuser does get damage. So unless Rex doesn't decide to pit right now and decides to continue on, which he can continue, but it'll be pretty tricky for him. And I think out of them all, it is Faisal, who's over 11 seconds ahead of Simpish in P3 and is in a podium position. He's got a 3-second time penalty, so he'd hope that it is. You know, going to be fine for him. And Reaper says he broke his rear wing. And of course, when that rear wing is broken, you can't turn the car. I mean, unless he wanted to finish this race on 20 miles an hour, there wouldn't have been much he can do, as Felix is still over 41 seconds to the next car. He's continuing on in the lead of this race, and I don't think he needs to pit at all by the looks of it. And Simpish right now would just want to get inside 1 second of his teammate, but can he do that though? Now only 4 drivers remain in this one, 10 starting and only 4 remain. I actually had such an experience at the Spanish GP, which isn't even a, you know, let's just say a street circuit, unlike Jeddah. So, you know, it's a racing circuit, so obviously this is a street circuit as well, so you know, both of them are racing circuits, obviously, but you know what I mean. So it was 8 drivers starting there, 3 drivers only finished at the end, but they almost had a photo finish at the end of this race, which obviously looks unlikely here, unless all 4 of them make mistakes. And now, by the looks of it, okay. So 13 seconds, and definitely those soft tires are going to be running out of grip soon. By the looks of it, Faisal's actually gaining some time over Simpish. 13.2 seconds now. So maybe, who said there was going to be not much racing action? I mean, every time we've had a green lap, it's almost one or the other driver who's lost their who's lost their car. I was about to say lost their life, but obviously this is not real life. But yeah, basically, you know, lost their race, lost their chance, and they are out of this one. So it's all remaining in these 7 laps at the end of this one. It is all about what everybody will be doing and what all of these guys will be. And Faisal, who I was seeing is doing a decent job just on the exit there, loses it on his own. A potential podium finish you know, he's going to be out of the way for now, at least. Its Commando's decided to pit, so by the looks of it, it might benefit Faisal here, because Faisal now will need to pit as well. He's going to try and possibly get another set of soft tires or a set of mediums to go to the end, but I think the tricky part for him would be to go to the end of this lap, because he's got still over the whole final sector to go, and look at that, he's driving very fast. And I fear that there'll be a corner very fast coming, and yep, he's retired. He has retired. And 3 drivers is all we have before the end of the Grand Prix. And in a situation, if you score, you finish, as long as you finish, you'll get some points. Only 3 of the drivers are there who have got to be staying out on track. Everybody else is out, and just watching themselves out of this one, and just seeing some action out on the screen right now. So now not much remains, ladies and gentlemen. 10 started, only 3 finished. I mean, you should be surprised though, considering it's Saudi, but as I said, I mean, it was moreover like, sure, there was some drivers who went side by side, but it was mostly just driver errors on their own. You know, drivers just losing it on their own, be it Faisal, be it Reaper, Speeder, Scooter, he was pushed off, but, you know, along with Seppi, but Dree got disqualified. Faruqi was, you know, he was put in the wall, but he wasn't put in the wall, he put it himself in the wall, made a mistake heading towards turn 1, so now these, you know, these remaining 5 laps at the end of this one, 6 laps including this one, have to be the quieter one, have to really to be very quiet these remaining laps, because unless we, I mean, any action that we're going to get right now is going to be somebody going in the wall, but definitely we don't want that, considering only, you know, a few drivers now remaining, so that is going to be a bunch of it in the moment. Simpish is now into the pits, and I mean, why not? You know, he's just going to come out. He's already out of the pits as well. He's on 8-lap older mediums, which is interesting to see. So now Rex is, oh, it might have been Rex in the pits. No, he wasn't. I mean, he's far away. He was, but he was earlier on. So now looking at penalties, 6 seconds to them. But on the stops as well, only 1 stop by Felix, and the only driver who made a 1 stop in this race and has kept it going more than these 15 laps, because either some of them didn't make a pit stop or those who did are out of the race. And 4 stops by Simpish, 4 by Rex. I think now it's time for them to get to the end of it on with whatever tires they have, rather than worrying about anything. And Felix, who's racing on his own, wouldn't worry about much at all. And he said that you know his mistake from China was an error and was a game bug, and even if such a bug does reappear again, I don't think he's going to be challenged no more. So he's going to be on his own. You know, over 1 minute and 24 seconds between the two. He's nearly about to lap him. Yep, he's almost about to lap Simpish right now, and that's going to be them, both of them, by the looks of it, heading towards. In fact, Simpish might be heading towards lap 21, and Rex will be heading. Sorry, Felix will be heading towards lap 22. So he's only getting 1 step closer to the end of the Grand Prix now. So look at this. I mean, not much we've got remaining. Lap 22 out of 25. I mean, you have to say, you know, forget about those who couldn't, but all those who did are the drivers by the looks of it. So, you know, all these drivers now, you know, all of them, with the fact that, you know, the only 3 were the one to finish, and Felix, apart from the error along with Scooter, there wasn't much he made, wasn't much, you know, he made, or there wasn't much of mistakes that he did do or he shouldn't have done. You know, it wasn't a part of him. Simpish was the one who, you know, made a couple of mistakes along with Rex as well, but Felix was on his own. You know, apart from the, you know, tire laps, a lot of the drivers pitted for their front wings. So many of them hit the wall, so many of them damaged their front wings. So definitely, I think it's only a plus point for Felix heading towards you know, the next part of the season. We're 3 rounds in at the end of this one. You know, we'll go into round 4, so that'll be definitely a bit of a, you know, very big confidence booster for such a race moving forward. And I was going to say, who do you think is going to win? But I mean, by the looks of it, we all know who is going to be winning. So it's only time we cheer it off for them. And let's not forget that they're going to be... They've done 17 laps on these hard tyres. The end of this lap is going to be 18 laps. So they're nearly going to be doing 20 laps. You have that right. Over 20 laps. You know, in this one. With the fact that they've got the opportunity in terms of, you know, over indeed 20 laps that'll be for these drivers, to say the least. As oh, he's almost about to lap him now. Felix is almost about to lap Simpish, and he's going to be heading towards lap 24, the second last lap of the Grand Prix. Now will be Felix, who's on his way. He's nearly about to lap him. Maybe they could race it off to give us some action before he laps him off. But obviously that's going to be more not fun to them at all, because... And he's using his overtake button, and definitely by the looks of it, he's using all of his ERS. He's going to be charging it now, but he's used a lot of it. Unless he's looking for a very fast lap right now, which actually could be an interesting one to see, because... Let me see here. Fastest lap is to Felix right now. Simpish is actually very slow, 135.1. So, but Simpish is on slightly newer tires. Obviously, his medium tires are not going to be much at all, but despite that, still, either Commander X or either of them could take it off. So, Felix right now would be looking to save up his ERS, but then he was using a bit of it. So, maybe would have thought that he's going to use a bit of it to catch up to Simpish. Maybe try and lap him. You know, over 25 lap of a race, you get lapped. Obviously, I mean, with a lot that has happened in this race, a little bit wide goes Felix, and that could be interesting. He might want to slow down a little. You don't want to lose it here in the situation. Only 3 drivers remain. You're about a lap of the next car behind you, and you nearly made it, overlapped them. And if you lose your car in a moment, that'll be hurting you a lot, and especially in a 10-round season where, you know, this could be very crucial. You know, you never know with every race drivers increasing. You know, every race it won't be the only 3 finish, so it won't be that you finish every race or you win every race. So the opportunity will be interesting in terms of what you can do and what you are going to be doing by the looks of it. So let's see. And now we're going to be in the final lap of the Grand Prix. Also, not forget that we've got sprint races, 2 sprints this season. One is going to be at the Las Vegas Grand GP, the Las Vegas Street Circuit, and Simpish is about to get lapped by Felix, but he'll still be laughing under that helmet. He's got P2. And yeah, so sprint will be at Las Vegas, and another sprint will be at Brazil. So the 2 races that'll be sprint races the next time. Tonight here we're in Jeddah, so we got our Asian run, and that's going to be ending at Suzuka next time out. It'll be round 4, then we move over to America for Las Vegas, then back to Europe at Monza. But now we're going to get back to this race. It is going to be Felix, Simpish, and Commander X, all 3 drivers, and all happened with everything coming around. It was Felix who comes home to win the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Simpish, despite the struggles, will finish P2 and get himself a 2nd place finish. And as I said, it won't matter to him if he's lapped or not. A P2 is not bad at all, and he'll definitely take it with both hands and laughing around. To say to all those who couldn't finish that I did what you couldn't, all of you, and that's going to be the end of it. Meanwhile, Rex has got a 6-second time penalty as well, 9 seconds now, but eventually that'll be ignored as well, as he's going to come home to finish P3 and get a podium in here at Jeddah and in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. And it didn't move around, so I wonder if... No, it didn't move around. It was still Rex who did finish P3 with Simpish in P2. And that'll be it, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed it. There was rather more chaos than racing. And all black suit from Felix. He's going to be in the top of the day. Meanwhile, all of these drivers, as Commander X has got most overtakes and driver of the day, everything else goes to Felix. So that was it then. Felix finishing up ahead of everyone in P1, Simpish in P2, by Rix in P4, P3, finishing up everybody else out of the Grand Prix, be it Faisal, Reaper, Speeder, Scooter, Ferruki, Seppi, or Dre. Everybody out of this one. Everybody DNF'd. Dre was disqualified because of being unable to pay his drive-through penalty. So that's going to be the end, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you all enjoyed all of this, as that is going to be our time coming to an end here. It was myself, Tuppy, bringing you all the action here from everyone, and a goodbye, and that's going to be a goodbye from all of us here at Cockpit Drivers Championship. See you soon at Suzuka next time.